Hey, I'm Hunt, and this is Hunt on LSU, your channel for LSU Fighting Tiger football talk. Enjoy the video. We want you to leave a comment below, hit that like button, and subscribe right below the video. Enjoy. We'll start with Pro Day over at LSU. We know this is among the most high-profile Pro Days around the country because of the three guys who were a Heisman Trophy winner, a couple of All-Americans, and very likely first-round NFL draft picks. That's Jaden Daniels, who will throw maybe right now, maybe a couple minutes ago, maybe in an hour. I'm not exactly sure. And he will throw to Brian Thomas and Malik Nabers. Now, Brian Thomas put on a show at the NFL Combine. He ran sub 4.4. He was measured. Everything was fantastic. He's going to take it easy today during the testing part and just go and run routes with Jaden Daniels. Malik Nabers got up to the Combine and said, I'm good. I'm just going to hang out. I'll get on the whiteboard. You can check out the injury stuff, look at the medicals. See y'all in Baton Rouge for Pro Day. And Jaden Daniels said the exact same thing. So today is their day to put together an on-campus workout to try to impress the teams toward the top of the draft. Impress Malik Nabers has done. That is very, very clear. Malik Nabers, who did not get measured at the Combine, was measured in today at 6 feet and 199 pounds. That's not really a huge surprise. All that is exactly in line with what we thought. Now, what would he run and what would he jump? We'll have to see. I'll take Shea Dixon's word for this. He, of course, covers recruiting over at On 3 for the Bengal Tiger. Said that Malik wasn't necessarily a huge testing guy in high school. Remember, Malik committed to Mississippi State, and LSU got in on him late and was able to flip him as an in-state player to Baton Rouge. Thankfully, that happened. Apparently, Malik didn't test off the charts in high school. I don't know if he was off the charts today, but he was way up on the charts today. 40 time. Not official, but most have him somewhere between 4.35 and 4.4. A sub 4.4 40, exceptional work for Malik Nabers. Turn on the tape, the speed pops. I've seen multiple different draft guys who post videos up to Twitter suggest that the speed is Malik's best tool. How about the vertical? This was nearly off the chart. 42-inch vertical for Malik Nabers. That would have been second among everyone at the NFL Combine. 10.9 broad was good. It wasn't necessarily right at the top, but very, very good. All Malik Nabers did today was go out there, prove he's got plenty of physical size, elite level speed, elite level vertical. And then, oh, by the way, how about you check the stat sheet? That's going to do just fine as well. This is a guy who, as a sophomore at LSU, had a 1,000-yard season, and last year exploded for 1,569 yards and 14 touchdowns through the air. That'll work. I don't know if Malik Nabers has done enough to become the first wide receiver off the board. I think the possibility exists. There are draft analysts and experts who are paid for their opinions who suggest he should be. But as always with the draft, it's in the eye of the beholder. You don't have to win over all the organizations. You got to win over one. Marvin Harrison Jr. may be the guy. Malik Nabers may be the guy. Maybe somebody falls in love with Rome Odunze. I would doubt that, but it's possible. Lots of things are possible. But Malik Nabers has done everything that he is needed to do. He showed up at LSU, has been a model teammate, has been a massively productive football player, has participated in a lot of winning, has gone on to do the testing, has passed it with flying colors, and at this point, his work is nearly done. You could go to do some workouts for some teams, visit with some teams, and he certainly will do that, but this is a guy, in my opinion, who is firmly in the top 10 and likely closer to 6 in the NFL draft if I had to start looking. Some people might back up a little bit based on how many quarterbacks get snatched up early. If all of a sudden the first 4 picks are quarterbacks, well, that changes the math a little bit. Depends on how much teams like J.J. McCarthy and who wants to be aggressive to move up. All we really feel like we know at this point is that the Bears are going to take Caleb Williams. After that, where's Jaden? Where's Drake May? Where's J.J. McCarthy? Who wants to trade up? and then Marvin Harrison and Malik Nabers. There are too many variables right there for me to firmly suggest where things are trending. But it's really, really good for Malik Nabers, and that's awesome. As I sit here in the studio today, we've got ESPN up on one of the televisions, and Dan Orlovsky is breaking down LSU offensive tape, which I feel like every team has hours and hours and hours of because of these three dudes. Awesome, awesome day for Malik Nabers at LSU's Pro Day. A 4.35-ish 40 time, maybe a 4.39-ish 40 time, whatever. It's sub 4.4, and it's very, very good. 42-inch vertical, elite level explosiveness, solid broad jump, measured out really well. I have no doubt he'll run routes and look very good in that portion of things whenever that is this afternoon. Jaden Daniels, sitting everything out except the measurements, and then he will go throw. He measured in at 6'3", 210 pounds. That's good size. He's not 235 pounds. He's probably not going to be 235 pounds. And that could be a knock on him if that's the way you want to handle things. But I've also heard Dan Orlovsky talk about Jaden Daniels. Dan had some LSU games this past year, has looked at a lot of tape. He's breaking it down now on SportsCenter, and he says this is the first pick in the draft. You should take him. We'll see if that happens or not. I have my sincere doubts about that, but it's very, very possible, if not likely, that Jaden Daniels would go at number 2. Twitter is reporting that Jaden Daniels is going to make about 55 throws today. I'll do so in the comfortable confines of the LSU indoor facility with some guys that he's had a 2-year relationship in Brian Thomas and Malik Nabers. I anticipate that goes exceptionally well.
Yeah, there's already some video coming up with him throwing to Brian Thomas, Mason Taylor, and Malik Nabers as well.
Oh, Mason Taylor's out there. That's cool. And that's, obviously you want to have a tight end in there to run some of those routes and do some of those things. Every time LSU's going to have a quarterback throw, certainly Jaden did, certainly Joe. Every time a quarterback throws at Pro Day, I can't help but think of Jamarcus Russell. It's just to where you automatically have to go. Todd McShay walked out of the indoor facility that day and said, that's the greatest workout I've ever seen in my entire life. And we know the rest of that story. So, look, I struggle to think that Jaden Daniels' Pro Day is going to have a lot to do with where he's selected in the draft. I could get on board with maybe Tim Tebow's Pro Day needing a little bit more. He had completely changed his throwing motion. He realized that the offense that he ran with Jeff Demps and Chris Rainey and all those guys at Florida wasn't what he was going to have to do in the NFL when he was selected. So, yeah, there's a little bit of a showcase of some significant change there. If there's somebody who's been playing at a lower level that needs to go out there and spin it around a little bit because he's a little bit unknown and they're not really sure of the competition level, okay, I can maybe get on board with that. This guy has played 2 years in the SEC. He's carved teams up for 2 years. He was the best player in the country this year. He's got plenty of arm strength. He's got elite-level athleticism. He's got all the production you could possibly need. If some teams want to take a look at him at Pro Day today, that's great. I think everybody pretty much understands where things stand with Jaden Daniels. I'm sincerely hopeful that he goes second in the draft. I would love it if he went first, but it's just all indications are the Bears have settled in there on Caleb Williams. But today, I think a day that Jaden Daniels probably looks forward to. I'm not sure how consequential it is. Now, there were other players working out for LSU today that weren't Jaden Daniels and Brian Thomas and weren't Malik Nabers. I think the guy right now, and we don't have all the available information from Pro Day. That'll come out in a press release at the end, and they'll throw us some times, and we'll see as things kind of leak out on Twitter. But I will say that Jordan Jefferson measured in today at 6'3", 316 pounds, and ran a sub-5 40-yard dash. 4.91 was one of the times I saw. There was a tweet that potentially some of the scouts had some 4.8 second times. I think that's very, very good. Jordan Jefferson is a guy that I believe will be drafted. He did some nice things for LSU this past year. He was a starter at West Virginia for a couple of years, and the measurables are pretty good here. So, look, big guys that can move are the most valuable commodity because they're the hardest ones to find. There are a lot of guys who are 6'1", 195 pounds that can run. Like, that's a very findable thing. Guys that are 6'3", 315 pounds that move pretty well, a little bit tougher to find. Hopefully Jordan Jefferson's performance today, where he ran a pretty good time, is one that will grab some people's attention, and he can get pulled off the board at some point there in the middle rounds. If we get full updates over the course of the next hour and 50 minutes, I'll be sure and dive into that as deep as we can. Preston Guy is going to be with us at the top of hour number 2 at 2 o'clock, so we'll certainly talk about all this with Preston. But really, really good day for Malik Nabers. Brian Thomas's hay is in the barn from a testing perspective, and I'm excited to hear what some of the people thought and what Jaden thought about how he threw the ball today, even though I think everything's going to be just fine in the Jaden Daniels camp. So that's a look over down the street at LSU's Pro Day. Saints were in attendance for LSU's Pro Day. I realize that a lot of people were skeptical about that all the time. The Saints actually put a video up of Malik Nabers running the 40 on their official Twitter feed, which I thought was interesting. I don't know how oftentimes NFL teams broadcast pro days, but I understand the local connection there, so thrilled about it. I don't think they're going to get Malik Nabers. If they do, they've traded up and used a lot of assets that I don't think they should use to go get him. But interesting nonetheless that they did have that on their Twitter feed. Hey, thanks for watching Hunt on LSU. Before you get out of here, do us a couple of favors. Hit that like button, leave your comments below, and subscribe to the channel for all your Fighting Tiger football talk. See you next time.